Hello everyone, I just want to review Dhurandhar 2, Dhurandhar Revenge. This is my second vlog and I just watched it in near my home, Vanasthalipuram. To admit it, I have not watched Dhurandhar 1, which is quite surprising, but I am an ardent film fan and also I like to think myself as a good watcher. I had a great deal of introduction to various international cinema and I think I'm a good enough film watcher from all the various diverse cinematic points of view. I really loved the experience of the film, which is what provoked me to or emoted me to make this review. I really loved watching the experience with everyone, with all the people in the theater. Everyone was just cheering, and I just loved to be part of that mob, even though it was a bit political. I mean, politically leaning, which I'm not completely aligned towards. I'm not saying that I'm against anyone, but it is politically aligned film. It is just a cautionary tale that I'm saying, but cinematically it made wonders. Wonders, especially because watching Indian films grow, what, watching Indian films is altogether a different experience because you know how they grew up with you or how you grew up with them. And to watch such a technical brilliance in an Indian film is seriously inspiring, which can be a which is I don't think which it is a common occurrence everywhere or anywhere. Everywhere there are bad films, everywhere there are good films, but in general sense, as a film buff, it's a really good experience to watch a good film, technically well made film. To talk about the techniques, or let me start with how it went on linearly, the experience of the film. It it was homogeneous. The movie can be divided into bits of the calm or the restraint, the discussion going on, the dialogue going on, and then slowly seeping into the discussion, sleeping into some sort of the next step where you get slight bit elevated, and then moving on, it just goes into a bang, and then it collapses down again to lead into some sort of discussion. These are the series in which the film is completely made, which are really quite exciting because it 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 doesn't ask you to pay attention. It completely makes you engross into the movie, where in the discussion you think about what's going on to happen next, and when it blows up on your face, you feel like you completely give up and give up all the notion of thinking and just get excited at watching that making of the film. I think there can be complaints from feminists or girls or other political views, and it is completely reasonable because it's a very passionate film. And when you make a passionate film, it's difficult to include everything in it. I loved because of its passion, and it's very difficult to include everyone in, especially the females. It's since it's a story of I don't know how to say, but I find it difficult to say the word. Since it's a movie about terrorists, maybe it's very difficult to accommodate girls into that narrative, which I find kind of missing. Not as a movie, as I told you, I love the movie, not just as a Durandar the movie, but as the general sense of a movie. So I missed the girls aspect in the movie. It was completely I don't know the proper word. I'm sorry for that. Masochistic, I think it's that the word. It is proper that kind of a movie, that kind of a film. Music. The music is really completely complemented the very aesthetic locations, very aesthetic looking film, completely transposed it to a international kind of a vibe. The music really played a good part. It played well to the emotions. It settled down when it needs to be settled down. It played only when it's needed, and it just went bombastic when it's needed. It's both. It well it's woven well into the narrative of the film, where it's high when it's high and low when it's low. And uh, it definitely had a huge conversation. And I'm also a music buff also, not just film buff. So I kind of sometimes noted some individualistic, what do you call, uh, some kind of unique, not unique, sorry, the emotion that's going on. Well, it just interwoven, the different layers of the music has got interwoven, and they're very freshy vibe, unique, and sometimes taken from other sources too, but on the whole, uh, it never disappointed, even if it's from other sources. I'm not a purist in terms of the music has to be original or something like that. As long as it goes well with the emotion, I think it justifies its existence. The politics angle also, the news coming in, the various, that is where I find a bit of a distance from the film, because the politics of, I don't know, I saw the Twitter as well, the Twitter or the X as well, where some people are completely against it and some people are completely supporting it. I don't, I kind of, it's difficult to say I don't fall into any category, but I kind of, I like of fall into the category of opposing it only, though I loved the film. Not opposing as a film review in the sense, but just in a cautionary sense that subliminal messages happen in the films, whether we like it or not, and just trying to be cautious of those messages. And I think it justified the government way more than a balanced, analysis. It completely justified every action of government and all, without a serious critical analysis of it. Agreed, it's a passionate film, and when it comes out of passion, it is difficult to accommodate everything, and it is difficult for you to expect everything in it. So I'm not disappointed, but I'm just adding a cautionary tale that it took just one side of the government, and it went well with the film actually. I was also cheering when when the contrasting emotions of politics or religion was interplayed one after the other. Wow, it was really emotional. It really went well with the film. But as a cautionary analysis, I think it's quite well to say that it's much needed to say that it took a one-sided position of a government, and it took it did under the umbrella of patriotism, which I don't want to comment much on. I don't want to comment much on patriotism, but it well went with the emotion. Both, the two sides, again I want to say it. It went well with the movie, but it was kind of not good in the side of analysis, or say a balanced view or a nuanced view, which the movie did with very well. The nuanced view of emotion it well, but the nuanced move of government or patriotism, all those subtext, or all those miniature, it, as I said again, it what it did with emotions, it wasn't able to do with uh, the broader analysis of the patriotism, or the how, not just patriotism, religion, all the topics it has touched on. It didn't deal it with nuance, it went with passion. Since I said too much about negative things, I just want to balance it out, saying again, going back into the passion of the film. It was so wonderfully made. I vividly remember many scenes. Sorry for any spoilers, but the romance part is also very well justified. The nuances of their emotions, nuances of even Pakistanis are. I mean, sorry for saying even Pakistanis, but considering the considering the side of the film which it is in, it took the detailed nuances of Pakistani's emotions as well, the terrorist emotions as well, mm, in a very nuanced way. They had feelings, even they had their positions, which is what made the film brilliant, because it was not teaching, or it was not preaching, or it was not just saying, oh, this is right, this is wrong, and these are the bad guys, and these are, you need to just fight it out. Of course terrorism is a kind of a activity which we don't want it, which of which we obviously we take sides, but it did it in a very nuanced way that even they have their emotions. That explained a lot of, I want to say this again, uh, that is what excited me the most, because we watched lots of news and all. I watched lots of news and all, but uh, I watched lots of news and all, but to go through the psyche of them, to understand them, that they are human too. They just took on a wrong side, or say, uh, and a society which, a side which was not much which is not much acceptable to our state of existence. But still they are humans too. They make good some, they have emotions too. They make some good decisions, they may make some bad decisions, but they just aren't on the side of societal, I mean, what do you call, our state of existence. They are not in the part of that circle. Sorry for too much analysis of terrorism when it's about the movie. I mean, yeah, it was in the end to praise the movie only. That even the emotions of terrorists were very nuanced, where you see they grieve sometimes, where you sometimes you see them sad, you see them real. In that felt very real, even when they're being hit. Also, the emotion felt very real. You could see the side being clearly seen upon, rather than taking the filmmaker taking serious side and not showing the other emotion as well, not balancing the emotions which are being shown. Of course he can take sides in sense of the protagonist or the antagonist, I'm not saying that. But what he didn't take the side of was, he didn't take the side of the boring narrative of the protagonist or antagonist. He took the side of the film of, okay, I don't know what to say. I think I explained enough. I don't want to further explain it. Again, going back to the beauty of the film, because I think I'm explaining lots of negatives. The beauty of the film, the cinematography. Let us talk about cinematography. It was captured so well. The the fierceness, the pain, everything, the performances, especially performances by the actors were really good. I need to mention that as well. I couldn't notice any single performance stand out, because I think all of them were good on a single path that was being laid upon to them, and they all did well. I think everyone's performance was very apt and put in a very real impressionable way. As I already told you, or I don't remember, how did I tell you or not? I didn't watch the first part, which is kind of mysterious experience to me. But as I told you, the biggest reason why I was impressed and I was emotive enough to post this was, I watched with that audience and everyone was like discussing amongst themselves. Oh, this happened in that part also. So this is the link. This is that guy. Oh, I was like, it felt very mysterious to me, because I didn't feel anything missing, but I felt it was only mysterious because I told you I can make some patterns in filmmaking. I have a touch in filmmaking. I like to see myself as a very good watcher, if not anything, if not even a reviewer, but definitely a good watcher. I've watched lots of films, and I want to also discuss about the inspirations I felt this film had, or the path on which this film had treaded upon. I think surely the things that I watched which came to my mind are Game of Thrones, Crown, certain other things like that. Game of Thrones, especially when I was trying to make patterns of Game of Thrones, I found similar patterns in this film as well, of what Game of Thrones kind of had the patterns. This film has similar pattern. Not saying it's any in a bad way. It's definitely a good inspiration, because it is such a brilliantly made Indian film. And yeah, and even in Crown as well, I found that both of them are very comparable to this movie, in the sense. And even being a 4 hour movie, 3 hour 50 minutes or 4 hour, I don't know perfectly, it's around that. And very impressive, very impressive that uh, it the screenplay of the film was very impressive. I was like, okay, this is the end of film. Where is going to next? I mean, what next is going to cooked upon? This feels like climax. So what are we left with? What are we left with? What are we left with? And every time the makers made a nice game, played a nice game with the audience, you felt that this is the high. Okay, what's this is going to end over here? But no, they took it to a different angle. They expanded the scale. They went into the, I thought it was over when I don't know, when they were bits when you feel it like, okay, it's over. What is going to happen next? What is going to happen next? And every time I felt that, every time I was not disappointed but only was surprised by something more. Some The scale was expanding, or the narrative was expanding, and that was such a pleasant surprise to me. I wanted to talk about the romance in the film, which is very less, I think, but I wanted to expand on that because I really loved the part of the romance in the film. I loved how they conflicted both were, but they were still in love, and that really felt my heart warm and everything. Especially the heroine, I remembered, kind of quite remembered Dahlia Bhatt's movie. I don't remember what's the name of the film. A Dil A Avatan song, I guess, that movie. So that's that movie kind of a conflicted emotions, where it's country versus love, and that was portrayed so beautifully. The love between them was so heartwarming to watch, where they're conflicted yet they're together. And it was simple, actually. The logic was simple. It could have been complicated. I don't want to suggest anymore because, as I told you, it's not a balanced film, it's a passionate film. And I don't want to give any balanced suggestions, but just I will try to give some personal point of view for the balanced view. But that it was just easy saying, those are bad guys, even they are doing bad to Pakistan. That was an easy justification, but that blend well, actually. I don't want to complain about it, but that felt very easy option. And that blend very well into the film. It justified the girls point of view also, their kids and all. And coming to the audience with which I watched the film, it was a great experience. Everyone was like clapping for. It was a patriotic film, so obviously you expect, and a well-made film, patriotic and well-made film. So obviously you expect a nice crowd pull, nice crowd shot, cheers and jeers from everyone, which it had because of its movements. Yes, I think we have reached we are kind of reaching the conclusion of the review. Yes, I don't think I have too much to say much. I've already said so much of it. Um, on the whole, definitely, as I think if you watch the whole video, you must have got what I'm trying to say. It's definitely, I don't know, path breaking, because there's so many movies, so many shoulders on which it stand. Like I said, Game of Thrones, Crown, and so many such stuff. Internationally, I don't want to judge Indian because I don't want to confine it to an Indian cinema. I want to treat it like an international cinema. And considering the international standards, even if it's not a path breaking movie, it's definitely not going to ruin your day, or it's definitely not going to ruin your emotions or memories or anything. If you just want to have some, what do you call, have some continuity narrative of a good cinema in your lifetime, this film definitely fits into that narrative, as it fit into mine, is what I'm thinking. Definitely worth a watch, especially with the setup with which I watched, with the patriotic guys filling up the um, whole theater, and that's such a nice setup to watch it. And yeah, I think it. I don't want to. I just want to caution that the movie is a passionate movie, and some narratives like Islam, or might be, could be, or possibly they might be dented approach. What do you call? I'm sorry for not finding the proper words, but I think So it's not a complete movie in terms of the narratives you want, the narrative, the wholesome narrative you want everyone to watch. But it movie pretty well is a well made movie. It left out some narratives like Indian Islam or Indian Islam, woman, female. It is completely a misogynistic film. It felt left out narratives of Indian Muslim girl or the female side, too much female side of it. And patriotism was also taken for granted that everyone is going to be patriotic. But it's definitely a nuanced film in terms of emotions. Yes, I think we have reached the end of the review. Yes, thank you everyone.